What? Here I be. Here I be. What we gonna do? Feel so free. Welcome. Today is a very big day because we are reviewing not one, not two, but three Hallmark original films. I decided that I would sit down for like a 4-hour period to watch the Wedding Veil Trilogy. So here's my review. We're gonna start one by one. We're gonna go one by one by plots and characterization, all the different things. Okay, so it's gonna be a long ride. So you better grab your boobs and get some soup. And let's get started. So, setting the tone. All right, if you ain't seen it, what are you doing? Okay, so we got the Wedding Veil, right? First movie introduced. Lacey Chabert plays the main character Avery in this one. Then we got Emily, who is played by Adam Reeves, and Racer. I don't know. And then we got Allison Sweeney playing Tracy. And so this is kind of where we're introduced. So they're college friends, and every single year they go antiquing. They go to different cities. They adventure all sorts of good things. And so they're there in they were in San Francisco. That's where they were. San Francisco. And they're having such a lovely time. They're enjoying all the days. They're saying, "Why? What's up? What's going on?" Enjoying the day. But it starts off at a wedding. Oh my gosh. It's like they're telling the time. They're at a wedding and they're like, "Oh, this is so cute." I don't know whose wedding it was. I don't know if they were invited. But they were watching. they were in prime investigators. And then they go antiquing, and then they run into the veil, and they're like, there's this lady, her name, I think it's Hilda, which is an awful name. Who wants to be a hill? Duh. Anyways, they're hanging out, right? And so then, they're like, here's the wedding veil, it's beautiful, and whoever finds it falls in love. And you're like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, really? What? And so, we learn a lot about who the characters are in this scene. This is like the key scene in establishing who is who. So you learn that Avery, she's like the hopeless romantic. She's the sweet one. She's the nice one, right? She's like the friend. She's like the nice friend. The caring, like she's the good. She's the kind of middle of the ground. Like she's not like an intense flavor. She's not like a demure flavor, but she's like in the middle. You know what I mean? And then you get introduced to Emily, who she's kind of fun, and it's like wild. She's like fun. She's a little bit off the chain, kind of wild, but she's like fun. That's like her personality. She's fun, and she's caring, and she's always like asking questions. And then Tracy is like the Dorothy-esque character, if that makes sense. Like she is kind of cynical. She's kind of mean, like not mean, but she's like kind of judgy because she's from New York. And so she just has a lot of personality. And so they get that, and then the girl's like, "Oh my gosh, I love you. We're college friends. We're gonna see each other soon." And then whatever, the other girls leave, and then we're left with Lacey Chabert's character. So as she's leaving, she meets this mysterious young man, and she takes his cab, and then she goes to a place and runs into him at the art gallery, and then he likes the flowers, and he likes art, and so it's all this thing, he keeps bringing up fate, that is destiny, and this is like, she's like, oh, my heart, she's like, I can feel it in my lungs, and so she is just becoming attached, but then we're introduced to the plot problem real early, just really early, but there's multiple plot problems, so this is a whole new shebang. The first problem is that he sees her with the wedding veil. She's like carrying it when she's about to leave, and he is like, oh my gosh, this woman is getting married. Why is she a little bitch? He doesn't say that, but he's thinking it. And so he's like, oh my gosh, this lady has been catfishing me. I need to go. And so he's like, I'm meeting. And then, and she's like, he is the worst. Why would he judge me like that? And so they end up leaving, right? And so she just goes back to Boston. And by the way, he has this a Bostonian accent, and it's very intense. And it's very interesting. Because it's like a baby. And I'm like, what is this baby doing in this movie? But he has a face, and he's an adult. What is going on? Anyways. So that happens. And so basically, become introduced to her job. She's like, I'm trying to get a promotion. I want to become a museum curator. Blah, 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 blah. And so the project she has is she's like, she finds this she has to throw like a gala, right? And, what? Anyways, throwing a gala. And this gala is supposed to be like the big thing of the year. And she's like, okay, we have to talk to these museum people and get these, like the whatever foundation. And turns out, guess who owns the foundation? The dude that she met in the beginning that she had a problem with. And she's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And so she ends up working with him, and it's like this hot cold. Like, he's totally into her, but then he's like, wait, she's getting married. And like, it takes like half the movie before he realizes that like they're like, it's not her wedding, because she's like planning her friend's wedding, which is kind of the important plot point. But she's like planning his wedding, and like, she doesn't mention at all that her friend is the one who's getting married. Like, this is a very, like, you spend so much time with these people and you don't talk about the fact that you're not getting married. Like, he didn't even ask about her fiance. He just, like, saw her brother. It was this whole shebang, and he could have avoided it, and he was just, like, over dramatic about it. But that's just my opinion. Peter, oh my gosh. Yeah, and then, so they're like all dramatic, and then they end up spending time together, finding this painting and all this stuff, and there's like this subplot about like, oh, the painting might not get finished on time, but then it does, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, and then, ooh. I wrote that Tracy is the drunk friend. I don't know what scene I was talking about specifically, but she was always like, give me a drink. And I was like, this girl is ready to party. Yeah. But he was like, okay, so Peter is, first off, he's moody as all get out, which I relate to because I'm moody too. But Peter was giving her like the eyes at all moments. He was down the clown, and we all knew it from the beginning, which is the whole point, because that's how it works. And I wrote Jason, like, he was the worst. We don't care about him. But there's like this whole scene that I want to talk about that is like on the stairs, because it's foreshadowing for the next movie. And it's a scene where like she's on top of the steps and she's like, oh. And he's on the bottom of the steps because he has to like apologize to her for being moody and emotional. And he's like, and so like he's like on the ground and she's like on the top of the stairs, the same way like Romeo and Juliet, which I'll get into later. But yeah. And I think that happens before the wedding, after the wedding, I don't remember. Before. It was before. It was definitely before. And then they go to this wedding, and then, like, she gets the bouquet, of course. Actually, no, he catches the bouquet, and she's like, oh! She's like, oh my gosh, look at you. And he's like, I'm going to give it to you because I love you. I love you. Definitely didn't shimmy. He should have. I think it would have been cute. And a fun little spicy little addition. Yeah, but then, like, they have this whole argument, and she's like, you're the worst. Stop being a little bitch. And I'm trying, like, I think you cute. And, like, we gonna wait for this. Like, we gonna see what happens, but let us get through this. And he's like, nah. And so, like, I was just proud of her for standing up for herself. I don't know what scene this was. I'm really sad I didn't do this closer to when I watched this movie, because it was like a week ago. So, I forget, but like she stands up for herself, and I thought that was really good. And then they brought up the idea of legacy, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna tie the third movie. But yeah, the baby boys, and then I did not expect it to end with their wedding. I thought it was gonna be like a triple wedding scenario, but it is a triple wedding, but not in the same way I thought it was. Does that make sense? I thought it was going to be like 3 weddings at once in the last one, but instead they decided to just do it with each one together. Which I thought was cute, and they were all cute in their little dresses and their fancy, and they were like, oh my gosh, hi, hi. It was adorable. I thought the wedding ceremony at the little museum was nice. Yeah. And then we're introduced, we get a sneak peek at the end of the movie, going in and being like, oh, Tracy's relationship, it ain't going well. But we're introduced to that throughout the movie, so I was like, from the get-go, I was like, they gonna break up. That's how it's going to end. Don't even worry about it. And then we also know that that Emily, she is like this new, like this project or something she's looking forward to in the fall, but we don't know. We don't know if she's gonna get it in Italy. And then at the end of the movie, we get this photo. There's this photograph that is painted. It's that the whole plot surrounds around this painting, this old painting. And we find out that the veil that they bought together is the same one as in the painting, because there's a little heart. There's a heart. You know what that means? Love. And it's in Italian. So, we have a lot to catch up on. Which brings us to the wedding veil unveil. This one was so cute. I love the international ones. They are the best because international travel is fun. I like spicy romance. I love accents. It is fantastic. The one thing that drove me crazy was my computer kept lagging when I was watching it. So it was dumb and I was upset. So there were a lot of pieces that I was watching like 3 minutes at a time, and then it would pause, and I was like, I want to watch the Italy. But anyways, she gets her job to teach at the university in, I think it's in Verona. I'm not completely sure. They were going all over Italy, and I got really confused. Okay. And so basically, she goes to Italy to find out. She takes the veil and she's like, I'm gonna find out where this came from in Italy, because she like likes researching, right? And each of them have like a weird attachment to art. Like this is another big overarching thing, because Avery, she just like likes it. She thinks it's pretty. She thinks it's cute. She works at the museum. That's cool. And Emily, she likes researching. She's like an art historian or whatever. And so that's really her bent. And then Tracy likes the value of it. She like works as a like auctioneer. So we don't, and she appreciates it, but she also like puts value into it. That was the best. I think that's literally what they said. So she goes to Italy and she doesn't know, like she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I don't know what's gonna happen, and then she keeps running into this man, right? She runs into him on the boat thing, she runs into him in town, she runs into him all over the place, and then she runs into him at the local, like, I forget, lace, that's what it's called, the lace shop that his family owns, that they recognize that the veil is made from their family. And so this is like a moment of like, oh my gosh, this family is where the thing came from. However, we are very confused about all the things. So this whole other mystery comes around of the fact that they can't figure out where, like, because the Countess got married to someone else, and then there was a whole thing of like, she's in love, we don't know, okay? And so there was like this whole mystery, right? Turns out that she had a secret daughter, but that happened in the third one, and honestly, it's just a whole circle around, okay? And so, the most important thing is Italy. Okay, it is beautiful. The areas are beautiful. The little notes, the food, the like things they bring up. This movie is probably the funniest out of them. Kind of the silliest. Like when the lights go out, I thought that was funny. Because she's like, I'm really sad, and she's like a very relatable person. Like she's like one of those girls that I can just picture having like a good, like she's definitely someone that I would want to hang out with, like on a regular basis, because she's just a wild gal. What am I doing? It's weird because I'm looking at myself, but it's mirrored, and so I'm just confused of what my hair is doing. Anyways, back to this. So this one, the Italian man, Paolo, is definitely more boom forward, okay? Because Peter was like, he was giving her the eyes, always, but Paolo, literally, they're like on a boat, and he's just like, they're like cuddling together. They're on the gondola, and she's just like wrapped up in his arms, and it is the cutest thing, and the most romantic thing, and that is the way you spend a birthday or an anniversary or just an Italian getaway. I know, it's crazy. I just was in love with it. It was so cute, and they were just like doing adorable things. Who would have even thought? I didn't. Yeah, like she was just, he was like really flirty. That's the whole thing. Like he was just very touchy, very handsome. I'm like, this is very Italian. I feel like this must be the closeness. And then yeah, like they were just like two best friends falling in love, and it was the most adorable thing. And like there was this whole scene of him like, he was like fixing her fork or something. Like it was like kind of ridiculous. Of like, he was like awkwardly like, he was like fixing something, not at all. Oh no, she was making a lace. This is what, okay, I'm reading my notes. And she was like, they're making the lace, right? They're like, boop, boop, boop. And he like puts his hand over her, and they're both just so horny. They were just like, it was beautiful. Yeah, they're just flirty and just adorable. And that's kind of the whole romance, like, the really wasn't. And she's like, well, I'm gonna live far away. So, like, that's the whole plot problem, is, like, she's like, she's just having a good time. And then she falls in love with, like, there's really not any kind of conflict. There's not really an event, either. Like, the whole thing is just her time and adventure in Italy. And they go to Verona, and they write letters to Juliet, and they do all sorts of things over and over and over and over. And they're just all close. And then, yeah, it's just adorable. And so there's not, like, a huge problem until he's like, well, I think we should, like, stay together. And she was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna, like, live across an ocean. And he was like, but we could try. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, I'm gonna be sad. But this is like after she meets his family, which is a whole nother concept of like this big family at this family gathering. She's like, oh my gosh, I like you all. And then there's this whole other plot point of him wanting to start a business, but like his father doesn't approve. I think that's the plot. But yeah. But then it like gets solved because then he gets a job in like Chicago, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so cute. It was gonna be in New York, but then she ends up making it in Chicago so he can be with her. And it's just adorable. I like their relationship and their dichotomy so well. They just mush together, and then he's just so historical the whole time. He's like, he tells him all the stories, and it's so romantic and it's so cute, and it hit my heart. Yeah, and then like there's this other subplot about this kid named Luca, but like it really doesn't matter. He like just paints stuff. Um, but I really like the mystery of something called Ariana's story. So Ariana, she is the girl in the painting from the first one, and they like, so she's part of the family, and then there's this whole plot about like we don't know where she's from, and there's this christening dress, and we don't know who it is, and we're trying to understand like what is happening with the painting, because like the painting, she's frowning, but in the sketches she's smiling, and so there's this other aspect of like, oh, we don't know what happened. Turns out that the painter and her had a child, and then she gave the child to sent him to the U.S. and called it good. And then the veil ended up traveling as well. But then we get into the Wedding Veil Legacy, okay? So this one, I would say, okay, so she's like an intense breakup with her boyfriend, right? Tracy. And so, oh, I also love their wedding. The Italian family wedding. Adorable. Anyways, she has an intense breakup with her boyfriend. She's like, it's not gonna work. And so then she's like, I'm just reading up before I go into it. So she like shows up and she's like, I don't believe in the veil. I don't believe in the magic, even though her two best friends already got married in the veil. But she's like, I'm gonna get it fixed. And so she goes to this little store and she's like, let me get it fixed. And then let me trick the owner, Luigi. Waluigi. She tricks him and is like, oh my gosh, go Giants, or go Jets, whatever team it was. And then she's like, I actually like the Dolphins. Which, who likes the Dolphins? I don't even... Anyways, then, like, she goes to this restaurant for a catering event, for her auction gallery or whatever. And then she finds out that the guy that she, like, skipped a line in front of at the store was actually the owner of the restaurant that they wanted to cater. And he's like, oh, I don't know, you sound awful. And then they spend time together and they fall in love, okay? That's basically the plot. That is the most thing. I wrote down, what? Someone got kicked in the balls. I don't know who it was, but I just wrote down kicking in the balls, and I don't remember the scene, and I'm really sad that I don't. But I also wrote down maybe my favorite quote from the entire film franchise, which is like, I think after she goes through a breakup or after like a date or something, she just says, oh, I get the pickle, and just eats it. And I was like, Tracy. Yeah. But then, oh yeah, this one's also very like awkwardly silly, because there's this trampoline that she buys, and she just like boingy 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 on top of it. Like, and it reminded me of like a weird scene from New Girl for some reason. I just like, I don't know, but like she was boinging in the buns. But yeah, but like, also the other thing, and so like there's this whole thing of like, okay, his family is a chef, he's building a new business, and like he's always helping her, and she's all nice and cute, and she's like, and all the girls, I love the dynamic of their friendship, because like in the past two movies, like they're kind of friends, like kind of ish, like you can tell they're friends, but they're not like a huge piece. But in this one, the girls show up in New York, and there's like this whole fight they have, and there's this argument, and like she's like, I'm really sorry, but they really show up from this very realistic situation when they go to the restaurant and they're all sitting there, three girls, and then he walks up and is like, "Hey, yo," Nick walks up and he's like, oh, and the girls are like, they literally just give her the look of like, "Hey, cute." And it's like the most realistic friendship of like her being like, don't you say anything, of like her being like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And it was very realistic. High fives all around. And then there was this weird obsession with rugs. I don't know. But also, like, oh yeah, he like reaches around her. There, all these scenes have weird reach arounds, and like then she's like, oh, she like swoons, and that's also the adorable piece. And then also talking about this movie, like a lot of times, I'm gonna be honest, Allison doesn't seem like she likes the guy very much. She's like, "I guess you'll do." Like that's what her characters always seem to do. They're like, I like you, but I'm not gonna really show you it. But this one, like, she genuinely seemed like she likes him. I don't know if it was just the chemistry they had. I don't know if it was just the directing. I don't know what was going on. But like, she genuinely seemed like she was into him, and I thought it was so adorable, so cute. And yeah, and then they just fall in love. Like, it's that typical, like, he's starting a restaurant, she's working, then they show up at a party, and then they go into a thing of like, she just got out of a breakup, I can't do it, and then whatever. Like, then she's like, I can't be together, and he's like, but I want to be, and she's like, okay, whatever, I want to be with you, and she like rushes over to him, and it's like, I want to be with you, and his family's like, oh, we want you to be together too. But then it gets to the end, and we get the whole conclusion of how everything comes together, right? This is the important part. So you have the gals. Okay, so like they're getting ready for her wedding, and they're like, oh my gosh, just sipping drinks. And so the pieces come together. This is the important part, and I'm just going to spell it out. Okay, so we have the painting. So we have the veil, okay? They buy the veil. All the girls are wearing the veil. Then there's the painting. We learn about the painting, but like, who the frick is Ariana? Okay, so Avery found the painting, and that's where this gets started off. Okay, that's her connection to the situation. So Avery found the painting. Then we learn that the woman in the painting is related to Paolo, whose family made the veil. So now Emily is married to the man who is the descendant of the girl in the painting and of the ones who made the veil. And then we learn that the name and of the family of the child of her, Ariana, and the painter, which I can't remember his name, I'm really sorry, but wait, that their secret child came on a boat with the old housekeeper of the painter to the States. So, and the child is the mother, or is the grandmother of the grandmother of Nick, who is now marrying Tracy. And so there's this whole big loop around of that is how they're all connected. And so now, technically, Emily and Tracy are related by marriage. because that family is also technically it is the same family as the Girls Who Came to America. So that's kind of the big overarching thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the whole plot. And then I have this cute like dance sequence of like, I guess it is real. And that's kind of how it went. So, my honest thoughts. Okay, if I'm going to rank them, I think it was 2, 3, 1. I'm going to say Unveiled was the best because I love Italy. Legacy was the second best because I really, really liked her. I really liked the personality. I liked Nick. I like that everything kind of come together. You know what I mean? I like that it all came together. And then I liked and then I liked the Wedding Veil because it was cute. It was nice, and it kind of got everything started off. So that's the kind of the order that I would put them in. And so I'd give this whole trilogy, as a whole, 5 best friends out of 5 best friends. Because I thought that their best friendship was the key in this romantic trilogy. And I'm very excited that it is going to continue because it was just adorable. I love friendship. I love families. I love mysteries. It had it all. So yeah. Slap that on a t-shirt. Good job. Good job, Hallmark. I applaud you. And I appreciate the branching out into a wild adventure. That's for sure.